Hey, how's it going, guys? Well, today we're going to talk about these Etline knives. Now, if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you'll know that I did a review on these knives before. Not these specific knives, this is actually a new set of them. The story goes about 5 or 6 weeks ago or so, I got a package in the mail from Finland. That's where these come from. These are handmade, custom little miniatures. And basically a little bit of a letter from the the owner of the company, and they were talking about how they revamped their website a little bit. They're going with kind of like a standard size for these right now. Of course, they're going to add stuff in the future, but they want just an overhaul of their website and their whole company. Okay, if you remember the first video I did, these knives used to come with a very unique sheath, and definitely not everyone's cup of tea. It was basically like a square or rectangular open top sheath. Some had like a belt loop on it, like this one, and some of them had like a neck lanyard. And the design was very, very unique. It was black and pink camouflage with a rattlesnake pattern embossed on the leather. So yeah, not for everyone. I liked it. I'm glad that they went with a just kind of a more standard sheath, just a standard old brown snap, button snap sheath. Very simple, and because they're making them all the same size, they all fit in here. All right, you use it like you would any other sheath, of course. Just pop it in there. All right, it's got the button snap. Okay, it does have the belt loop on the back. These are not snaps, they are rivets. Okay, so you have to fish your belt through. Kind of a pain in the butt. Not everyone's used to using a belt sheath. I think the majority of people into knives, most of us just have a standard, folding knife, one-hand opening, or operable pocket knife with a pocket clip. Okay, I think generally speaking, there's not a whole lot of people out there that are using, their buck 110s or something with a belt sheath. Not to say people don't do it. There's plenty of people who do it, but I think it's not the majority. The majority is using pocket clips. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. I did EDC this one because I think it's the coolest looking one, but only for like a day. I put it on my offside and I can get to it. It's kind of like a gun. It's very easy to get out, but putting it back in can be a little bit of a hassle, making sure you're putting it in without cutting the stitching or poking your side or whatever. But that's really not a big deal. That just comes inherently with using a sheath for a knife. As far as like the fit and finish, because basically the company sent these to me just to check out. They know I got the first ones and they saw my video on it, they stumbled across it, and they just wanted to hear my opinions on how it changed, or if it changed, if I find that they're better, worse, whatever. They just wanted some feedback. So here's the feedback. The fit and finish is definitely better. They're all pinned handles, and basically across the board, they're all Damascus knives. They are genuine Damascus, and they also use natural materials like bone and horn. You do get inconsistencies, like for example this one. The back side here is a darker horn as opposed to the front, which is more of a white, obviously. So not a huge deal. I mean, to be expected. It would take more time and energy and money to correlate those and make sure that like both sides are the same color. Not a huge deal, but definitely something you might want to look into. Try to match those up a little bit better. The same problem, I think, with the first batch is that they're just a little bit too thick to be as functional. Okay, you have a thick stock but a short blade. What that creates is the wedge effect. You know what I mean? Your blade edge is wider than it really should be. You want it as narrow as possible. Now, of course, when you get super thin, they're not as strong anymore. There's a balance. You don't want a super thin razor blade. Razor blade's not good for everyday use, and neither is a hatchet. You know what I mean? So there's kind of a compromise there. I think that if you took the stock and made it 3/4 the size or thickness, or even half, if all these were half the thickness, they would have a much leaner edge. They would be much more usable. They all come sharp enough to rip open boxes. But I mean, when I was using these, I was using it on cardboard. A lot of my cutting is cardboard. They work through plastic fine, but with cardboard, I find that they do tend to tear. Even when they're sharp, they tend to tear just because of the fact that there's a lot of friction because they're thicker. This one was the most ergonomic. You can see your pointer finger naturally lands in that curve right there, and then the bottom here rests against the side of your ring finger. All right, in your hand, it's very, very comfortable. This one happens to just look the coolest with those miniature finger twirls. Still very functional, but just not the performance I was looking for. And of course the dagger, this is a fully double-edged dagger, so very, very pointy. This tended to like do a tip rip. So like this seemed like it cut the best, but it wasn't really cutting, it was ripping that, or tearing that open more evenly, I should say. So yeah, I mean, overall, The fin finish is better. Like all the rivets on here, they're nice and even. They're not really pinched. Last time they were kind of a little bit jacked up. So I guess my overall opinion on these is that for the $30 price tag, they are worth it. But I would say 9 out of 10 people buying these are probably buying them just for the collection, just because they're cool, or they want a little, you know, letter opener for their desk at work or desk at home or something like that. It would be cool for an office. They would work fine for that purpose. But you know, generally speaking, if you're going to be using this all the time, you're definitely going to want to break out your sharpening system or stones or whatever you personally use, and you're going to want to put a new edge on these when they're new to get the performance where you want it to be for something you're going to use all the time. Other than that, if you want it for decoration, they're very, very cool and they're priced right. Another thing is that if they do start making these thinner, I'd love to see that. In fact, I would love to use one of these as a neck knife. You know, if you're handy with Kydex, or if you want to invest a couple bucks in getting someone to make a Kydex sheath. Right now, there's so many people out there that do Kydex stuff. You know, it's awesome. It's a great time to be into knives. You know, there's more people than ever. So very cool. I would love to see a little neck rig like this with a Kydex sheath. But again, you know, for something like that, for a neck knife, I want it to be, you know, more functional than it is decorative. And right now, to me, if I had to put like a number on it, these are like, I don't know, 80% decorative and 20% functional, if that makes much sense. But anyway, it's pretty cool. You know, I'm glad to see that the company's trying to get some feedback. They're trying to better the product. My biggest critique really is that, you know, the fin finish is much better than they were before. It's just you guys got to make them thinner. If you make them thinner and people know they can use them, they're going to buy them. You know, but as of right now, it's just a pretty cool decorative knife. So thanks for watching, guys. Always appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.